branding. And so I had different iterations of, colors or I think even names. And just grew from there. So I scaled eventually to 1.2 million in annual revenue. I was probably in my home for 4 or 5 years. And it was a old bed and breakfast that had a commercial kitchen in the basement. So could not have been an easier start. And at one point, like over the holiday season, we had like 12 people working in this basement. And I always thought like, oh my gosh, if my VDAX inspector walked in here right now. But eventually moved out of the basement and went to in Fluvanna County, the Food Line Shopping Center. And so I was just in a strip mall. I had 3,000 square feet. And then next door finally opened up and I took that over. So that was 1,500 square feet for pallets and stuff like that. So the Sophie Awards are the Specialty Food Association. It's like I say, it's like the Oscars for the food industry. So we got 6 of those awards. And we showed this right before you came in, but we were on the Today Show after 10 months of business. And at the very end, I'll show you the company that helped me get on there. So I exited in 2022, sold the business to, and that's something like, I feel like people don't talk about your exit because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to grow my business. Like, who's going to buy my business one day? So I used a broker in Richmond and we, they created like this 2-pager and sent that out. And the 2-pager didn't have the name of the business on there. So at that point, it's anonymous. So it's like, oh, this granola company in Fluvanna, which people could figure it out. But anyway, this granola company is for sale. Here's some small details. And then someone will sign a non-disclosure agreement. And then they get the full package, which was like a 30-page document. And then it goes from there. So I feel like and I know this might not be in your brain right now, but eventually one day it would be great if you could sell your business and, grow it. And there are lots of people out there who might want to buy it, even in our rural kind of area. So now I work with Venture Central, so there's 3 nonprofits that I work with. So CIC, as he mentioned, so that's Community Investment Collaborative out of Charlottesville. They also you're doing the orange workshop, the Culpeper orange?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have a 16-week class. It's kudos to you. It's a big commitment, but it's soup to nuts, everything about a business. And both people starting a business and people who have existing businesses go through the workshop because it requires you talk to the customer a lot and all the different aspects they go through: marketing, branding, all the different pieces, operations, legal, finance, a lot on finance. So even if you have an existing business, you can go through the workshop and it will help improve your business or help you pivot. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I thought I was going to do this, but now I'm going to do something else. So that's Community Investment Collaborative. SBDC, I mentioned, so Small Business Development Center. And then Venture Central is who I'm working with now. And I actually have a grant, or I just finished up a grant to explore the need for a food and beverage accelerator for our region. We just applied for the implementation grant yesterday. It will hopefully be funded in June. We'll kick off this fall. And as part of that, I'm also building, which I'll send to Winona and she can send this out. I'm building an online resource hub, and it's going to be all the food and beverage resources that I can think of and find for the full region. So that's through Venture Central. And so as we go through the presentation today, my 2 big things that I think helped me with my business more than anything is the feeling of abundance and gratitude. So abundance is thinking, and we don't really have anyone that competes in this room, but that there's plenty of money out there. We are in a great area between Charlottesville, Richmond, DC, North Carolina to the south. Like, there are a lot of customers. So I never felt, even with, there's tons of different granola companies. We had multiple granolas at the city market. I never felt like I was competing against anyone. I was competing against myself. And you talked about a goal. Like, I feel like everyone needs a sales goal. I don't care if it's $1,000, $500, whatever it is. So you set that goal for this year. And then so next year, like, great, I'm going to do 10% more, or I'm going to double that goal, or what have you. So just think about abundance and the fact that there's plenty of people out there, there's plenty of people with money, like pricing your product. There are people, rich people in our area, right? Like they will buy your product. My granola was anywhere between $7.99 and $8.99 granola, and this was 2012 to 2022. Like I always said, like I wouldn't buy a $7.99 bag of granola, but there's plenty of people that would. And the other thing is gratitude, like feel grateful. And this kind of goes again with abundance in your mindset, but gratitude that, you have this business or you're starting this business. And I used to get grumped. I had in Palmyra, like our tiny little post office, and before I would like go there and, the lines out the door or whatever. But then I turned my mindset like, oh, I'm grateful that I have a post office 5 minutes from my house. And I'm grateful that Roberta is, doing her best or what have you. So anyway, some thoughts there. So what we're going to do today, we are going to go through cottage food laws, but we'll also go through VDAX and VDH. And since everyone is already on a path there, we'll just talk about that real quick. Pricing profitability, I want to go over because when I work one-on-one with someone, I always say, like, what is your cost of goods sold? And I normally either get a blank face or I get I don't know, I know I need to do that, but I don't do it. And I personally, same, when I had my business, I remember we got into, so at first we were selling to Whole Foods, and DSD means direct store delivery, which just means I'm going to take it to the store and drop it off. And then we had applied to go on the planogram. So when you make the planogram, it's a big deal. So when you make the planogram, that means you're in all the stores in a region. So Whole Foods, I think I made it in probably like year 5 or 6. And I went from like 10 Whole Foods to 56. Like, not overnight because I didn't notice, but quickly ramped up. And when I did that, they were like, great, you have to go through a distributor. So a distributor is someone like Rainforest, KE, UNFI, where, and I'm sure you guys went through this. GFI, yeah, Virginia Heritage. So you sell it to them and then they sell it to the store. And so your margins shrink. Mm-hmm. And so made the planogram. We went with Rainforest as our distributor. And my husband's like, are we making any money on this now? And I'm like, I don't know, don't ask. Like, you really need to do the math. I'm like, I don't want to do the math. Like, I don't want to know. So we'll go over pricing and profitability. And then we'll talk about the different sales channels that are available. And yeah, so I'm just trying to look at your backgrounds again. So we'll mainly focus on like how to, with the sales channels, like different opportunities that you have. And then like, as I said, we'll have questions at the end. So cottage food law, just quickly, that allows you to sell without an inspected kitchen. I do say to folks that getting a VDAX inspection is not as hard as it seems, or people are afraid to do it. Do you have a home inspected kitchen, or you use?
I built a commercial kitchen in my basement.
Yeah,
so right. I have a full-on commercial kitchen in my home.
Right. I think the trickiest thing is if you have a pet, you have to have a way to have an enclosed, like you need a door, right? You can't just lock the dog in the. What did we do with our cat? I mean, I guess we did have a door. I'm like, worst case scenario, the cat lives at somebody else's house for a day or whatever. So there's different rules around it. The rules are all online. But basically you're selling direct to consumer only, and you have to have this label, which I'm not crazy about. So you have the, yeah. So which is on the third one, it basically says this is like by a non-inspected kitchen, what have you. So this is what you can sell, what generally you're not allowed to sell. The key, and again, the session is about growth, is in order to sell to restaurant stores or third parties, you've got to go that next step and get your VDAX license. I've had a range of people, and I'm happy to help you with your application when you're ready to do it. the key with VDAX, and you can say if you feel differently, but they want to see you succeed, right? They are there to help you. I was afraid of them, but did you have Alan Ollinger?
He is wonderful.
He is retiring, so you're gonna have somebody else. Our guy, I mean, Alan was fantastic. We used to literally bag granola on carpet. And I'm like, "Yeah, this is carpet." And he's like, "Well, you're not gonna like scoop the granola up off the carpet and put it in a bag, are you?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "It's okay." I mean, my kitchen, so I had it in the basement, I had the commercial kitchen, which had proper floors. And then this was like an 1830s house. It was a restaurant open to the public at one point, which blows my mind because it was like really low ceilings with the beams on it. But it had carpet. And I think underneath the carpet was probably like asbestos tile or what it had. My husband's like, "We are not ripping up that carpet." But anyway, so then we slowly like ran out of space in the kitchen. And so we were bagging the granola in this like dining room area. But anyway, so the VDEX license, I think, is an important step to take. So this goes over where you can sell, but again, it's basically direct to consumers, farmers markets from your home. You can have a website now, which I think is a recent-ish change. But again, it's direct delivery to the buyer. And then what your label must include, so your name, address, ingredients list, what have you. And there's the required statement. So and we'll go over this with a packaged product good. I'll go over like getting UPC codes, the nutrition panel, things like that. Did you?
Well, you said ask questions after.
Yeah, whenever you want. Yep.
Okay, the VDEX license and the cottage laws are different.
Correct.
But if you did have, say, like, would it still apply if you wanted to sell to a store? Would the cottage laws still apply?
No. So you cannot sell to a store if you're still under cottage law. So you have to get your VDEX license.
Right, but what if you have your VDEX license also?
Then you can. Oh, if you have your VDEX license, yes. So then you can sell to stores.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we call that wholesale, right? So you're selling wholesale to a store. So this is all right. So this is the process. So if you're ready to grow, here's really different options for you. So cottage law we talked about. I don't think that 25,000 a year is still applicable. I think that's only 9,000 for acidified foods. So VDEX inspection, and you also have Carver down the road. Has anybody used the Carver kitchen or gone to see it?
I've been there.
You've been there, okay. So Carver Enterprise something center, I just call it the Carver Kitchen. A beautiful brand new kitchen available for rent. I think the fees are very reasonable. Gretchen, who works there, and Kim are fantastic. They will help you with your VDEX license. Or Department of Health, because you can also be Department of Health if you're more like catering, things like that, food truck. So if you go food truck route, you might be Department of Health instead of VDEX. So you have Carver, or you can have your own kitchen, or you can, people like go to churches and say, do you rent out your church space or what have you? In Charlottesville, we have Bread and Rose's kitchen is at a church, and they have a kitchen that they rent out. So there's different spaces. I think about like when you have a food business, or when you're first starting, or when you're trying to grow your food business, there are literally so many things that you need to do, but really you need a product in a package with a price and a place to sell it and a place to make it. So figuring out A, your product, and B, where you make it is obviously key. You need somewhere to make a kitchen. I mean, to have a kitchen. So any questions? I mean, cottage law, you guys are either already doing or know about. Any questions more about the VDEX process? As I said, so on the VDEX website, There are two separate forms. One, if you're trying to get your home kitchen inspected, and one if you're going to use someone like Carver. So there's Carver, and then in Charlottesville, there's Beacon. There's one in Fluvanna, but for you guys, I mean, Carver's right down the road. If you use Carver, the inspector would come and meet you at Carver. You don't have to prepare the food. You didn't have to prepare your food in front of him, right?
No.
Like it's literally like, and even if it's your home kitchen. So, and if it's your home kitchen, he doesn't expect you to have a triple sink. Nobody has a triple sink in their home kitchen. So the application's very thorough. It's like a 10, 12-page application. It walks you through what you need to attach. Your ingredient list, everyone has that already. So what is in your product, the order of, highest to lowest. Your recipes. So when you're working on your recipes, try to convert things to weighing your ingredients. So my story with that, like we weighed everything except for the vanilla, the salt, and the cinnamon. Literally, we had 1 tablespoon in the whole kitchen. I don't know why I never thought like, oh, I better buy a backup tablespoon in case this gets lost. But anyway, we had 1 tablespoon, and I would watch, like Lori was like heavy-handed, and she did like a rounded tablespoon. And then like Susie was not, and sure hers were like barely full or whatever. And it used to like bug me. And I think the biggest thing that I struggled with was managing my team. And like I would avoid conflict like no other. But anyway, so finally I was like, let me stop stressing about this. And we started weighing the salt and cinnamon. Like, just weigh it.
Yeah.
And we even weigh, and then we weighed the vanilla. So you weigh it once, like how much does a tablespoon of vanilla weigh? Times 13 or however many tablespoons. I don't know why we didn't do, a quarter cup or half a cup for that, but we used tablespoons. Was that your thing with Virginia chutney? Like you weighed everything,
We
right?
weighed everything out.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Vinegar,
Yeah.
onions, green peppers, red peppers, every ingredient was weighed out.
Yeah, yeah. And as you scale a recipe, I'll just say this as well, like especially with you with cakes, like you think, and with granola, I'm like 1 batch, 20 batch, like just multiply everything by 20. It doesn't work out that way for some reason, and I don't get it because I'm like, it should, but it doesn't. So as you scale a recipe, just keep in mind that you might have to tweak things to get it right. So anyway, so that's your different options with different places to make your product. This is just some things that we go through in general with SBDC. And again, so SBDC is great for starting, getting all your basics in order. So some of your basics, obviously, business name and structure. Do you have sole propriety or are you an LLC? I was an LLC from day one, but I know you don't have to do that. You can be a sole proprietor. I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you any advice in that. Your EIN number, so that you get for free from the IRS.gov. You need that to then have a business bank account. So keeping your money separate. It took me a while to get that organized. My number one recommendation is get QuickBooks from day one, even if it's complicated. I think the bigger you grow, the harder it is to move systems. I started with, I think, GoDaddy. GoDaddy had an accounting system. Again, this was 15 years ago. And in the accounting program, it didn't sync my bank accounts, and I could put in an expense, even though it wasn't tied to cash or anything. It was really loosey-goosey. And so I was probably a couple of years in. I'm like, I really need to go to QuickBooks, and it cost so much money and a bookkeeper to move everything over. But anyway, so I would try to get into QuickBooks if you can. Product, I did do that. Product liability insurance, if you don't have it, you'll probably need it. Well, you will need it at one stage. Flip program, and actually that has 2 P's. Flipprogram.com is for food businesses. I had that for probably, it's up until a certain amount of revenue, and I can't remember what it was, that they'll cover you. It's immediate, like literally you could get it tonight and it's done. Most farm markets, definitely stores, require this 2 million aggregate or 1 million per instance is how it's worded. And I want to say Flip Program is probably $399 or $499 a year. You can also check with your home insurance or your existing insurance or talk to an insurance broker. But I think Flip Program, if you don't have it, and especially if you need it like right away, they might also have something for, oh, they do that. So like for events or farm market, if you need something like if you want to do the Monticello Festival or something, they're like, hey, show me your insurance. That'd be a great way to do it. Labels, whether you follow cottage law or VDAX, the instructions are on the VDAX website. Make sure that is correct. A lot of people worry about the address. I used my home address and never really worried about it. I know some people are worried about using your home address on your labels. But you can't put PO box. So some sort of address needs to be on the label. I'll also say that I like to tell folks, start where you want to go. So if I were, even if you're just starting out, I would put a UPC code on your label, because if you're going through the effort of designing something, go ahead and get that UPC code. And I will just click over here for a second. So let me go through. So we did this. I use, and you have to read it with caution, but also when I first started, UPC codes were like insanely expensive. They're like $700 per SKU. So SKU is like, if you have 10-ounce jam and 3-ounce jam, even if they're both cherry flavor, that's 2 different SKUs. Right, so it easily adds up. So when I first started, it was crazy expensive. So easy UPC, these are reused barcodes, but super duper cheap. So you're buying 10, they're $1.75 each. The real ones, which I think they have gone down. So GSI or GS. Is the real ones, and I think they've gone. Please go away. Okay, so 1 to 10 is $250. Still, that's a lot of money. So with Easy UPC, they will tell you somewhere pros and cons. So I would read through this before you order. I never had a problem. I was in Whole Foods, Dean and DeLuca, Harris Teeter, Wegmans, whatever, with Easy UPC codes. I never ran into a problem. I think that Kroger wouldn't have taken them if I'd gotten that far. So, and they might, here we go. So they have said that these stores they got into with no problem. I don't know. It depends on how many codes you need, right? Like if you only need, I would feel comfortable using this, but review that with caution. But I just think there's the cons, right? So there's Kroger, Fry's, King Soopers. Here's the stores where it won't work. Walmart and Sam's. But anyway, but what they'll do is they send you a file, and it's literally like a little JPEG, and you put it on your label or you put it on whatever you're using. Talking about labels, Canva, if you aren't aware of Canva, it's fantastic. So canva.com. I personally found a label printer company, and they had what they call in-house design. And amazingly, that in-house design was free. So they first designed my labels, again, when I was doing those farmers markets and I was still trying to figure things out. We did different designs and it was, you also want like low runs, like you don't want to print 10,000 labels when you first start. You might want to print 500 labels or what have you. So if you do outsource it, I also use things like, if you Google labels, there's tons of different label companies. But you just want to work for, the keyword is low run. I used stand-up pouches and stickers for probably, I don't know, 5-6 years, and then finally went to printed bags. Someone like Michelle's Granola, if you've seen her product in the stores, I think she's just now going, she's like a multi-million-dollar granola company, and she had simple craft bags with print or with labels for years and years. So I wouldn't like make the jump to a printed product or a printed pouch until you need it. Here's that flip program. So for food and beverage, who we are, who they serve. Oh, it's only $2.99 a year, even better. And it's great. But again, make your own. And I'm just going to do these real quick since we're here. Webstaurant is where I bought so many supplies, cleaning supplies, items. They even sell ingredients. I don't think I ever bought ingredients from them. But it's NSF is what is approved for like commercial type food businesses. You don't have to use NSF, but if you do, that's where you get it, and they have fantastic prices. I just want to go through some of the resources that I used. That is in my way up there. There we go. We did that. We did that. Recipal. So these are the nutrition facts labels, and this is great. It's showing you can do the different styles. And this is what I use. And I would say most people in the business, when you're first starting out, there's a couple of different options now, but when I went through, they had like a monopoly on this. And again, you get it in a JPEG, you get it in a JPEG, you put it on your label, and you're great. So even if you think you want to sell to a store, I would get this, I would get a UPC code, and I would do it from day one if you're
We
designing.
used Recipal and it's very easy to use. It's
Yeah.
awesome. The information, once you plug your information in there,
Yeah,
we would print it out and it had the weights and we would use that base to start our day with
Yeah.
Recipal.
yeah.
You can send it off too, like, I'm in the process now, some of my freeze-dried stuff has to be sent in for testing.
For Virginia Tech.
water
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
They'll actually they'll analyze your stuff and,
Right.
and you have to pay them,
Okay.
but they'll make your nutrition label
Oh, good.
for you.
Okay. Yep.
For people like, if you don't want to sit there and try and figure it out and you don't have that knowledge, they'll do it for you.
Yeah.
You just have to pay them.
Gotta pay who?
It's through VDAX.
I
My
think
name's Melissa Wright, is the lady I've been contacting. You have to fill out the information, the weight of your product, how you make your product, what the product is and all that. And then you have to send it in. They'll test the water level in it to make sure it's shelf stable.
Virginia Tech is.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it's Virginia Tech. That
Yeah.
works at Virginia Tech.
Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm in the process of now.
Right.
Is doing that to make my product line large.
so. If you have like any moisture issue with your product,
How
like
come they don't just come to the house or to the carver center to test it?
they've got,
Now, you said, you should go to Virginia Tech, then they. test
they do it
it
there.
out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Joel was explaining to me, like, even the first phase of how they actually tested the water content was like, so we had jars and it was literally a little teeny fan and a mirror. And it would literally blow, and then what the condensation was on a mirror was like how they would rate.
Crazy, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, Virginia Tech is a great resource. And again, like if you start the VDAX website, it'll show you the way to these other resources. And then when we have our online resource, we'll have it as well. So that's the rest about, and then so the last thing, I guess, since we're in that same genre is there's lot codes and then there's your use by date or your shelf life. So, and you might get in this like if you sell to stores or what have you. I was like, I don't know, what is my shelf life? And literally you put a bag of granola on the shelf and you taste it after 1 month and you taste it after 3 months. Or you look for, and what I just did, I looked for a similar product. Most granolas have 1 year. I personally didn't want to sell year-old granola or have someone buy year-old granola. So I think I started at 3 months. And then when I got into the stores or tried to pitch stores, they're like, we're not gonna buy that. Like, you need a longer shelf life. So I'm like, okay. So I did 6 months, pretty much my whole time. I might have, when we made the planogram, I don't think I switched then. I think we switched to a year when the company bought my business and we were still producing for a while for them. But it's when is your product safe until you can use a lab and maybe talk to Virginia Tech about this. We did a trial with Starbucks and they were like, we need a lab testing shelf life. And so I don't even know how I found them. And I think it was kind of like not legit, but anyway, they gave me a certificate that said, yes, your shelf life, I think they said was just under a year, which made sense. But in general, you just set your use by date and it is what it is. And I think it's, as long as the product is safe and tastes good after that time period, and you're willing to, back that up. 10 Shingle, and that way I don't have to go to this internet again. So 10 Shingle is who I used for PR. So when you're ready to pitch magazines, TV shows, newspapers, what have you, this was fantastic. I don't know how much it is now. $150 a month. It was not that much when I did it. But honestly, you could be a member for maybe 2 months, get everything you need and not go back. So, and there's probably other people as well. So what you are looking for or what you're buying is they have lists, right? So they're like, here's the food person of Cosmo, here's the food person of Virginia Living, here's food for all the different magazines. And they would have those contact details so you could email them, you would get their email address, things like that. So that's what you're paying for in pricing. They also have a great service, and this is how I got onto the Day Show. They have a pitch whisperer service. Mm-hmm. So they said, send us write your pitch, my email pitch, right? And they've rewrote it for me, basically. And so with this, they do not give you the Today Show when you first start. So they're like, let's get you in a couple other places and let's see your pitch improve or what have you. So I did like Virginia Living. I forget who. There's only a couple that I got into. And then I said, yes, I'm ready. Like, please let me pitch the Today Show. So that's when they gave me the email contact and the name for the Today Show segment producer. I emailed her, sent her samples, and then, it happened. But whether you use these folks or somebody else, and you can maybe find, if you go to the Virginia Living website or like on the 3rd or 4th page of a magazine, they have that one page that lists all of the contact names, emails, what have you, for the magazine itself. You might be able to find things there or how to pitch them. But it's just a way, like when we talk about how to grow businesses, see if I do this, there we go. Pitching magazines and stuff is a great way to grow. So we were on labels, we went down that side street, and then sales tax registration. You have to collect and pay sales tax. And depending on what your sales revenues are, you either submit quarterly or monthly. I think I started quarterly and went to
Well,
monthly.
that's even our cottage rules, they have to do
I would say yes. You're shaking your head, yes.
that. Wow.
It
And
is,
if you don't owe anything, you still have
Correct.
to submit.
you have to submit a $0. And it's, I mean, I would say it's pretty easy to submit it. Do you use the online form?
Yeah,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. And I mean, I just did my best and,
and like where I've typically been seasonal, which I'm gonna start to do year round, but I can mark off the months that I don't participate,
okay.
so I don't have to file those particular months.
Oh, good. So they do allow you to do that. Yeah. yeah.
Months for you.
When we bought our house, which was again, an old bed and breakfast, one day this like car drove up and they were like, "Are you so and so?" And I'm like, "No, that's like the previous owner." And it was the sales tax guy coming around looking to collect the sales tax. And I'm like, no, this is not us. We bought this place after him. I also got dinged on trash tax. You pay your trash tax because, yeah,
Not here, we don't, I think that is one of the things through the state, if you live like in the city, I
Yeah.
think of Richmond or something maybe. It's a really weird thing.
all right, maybe check it, because I mean, I had to pay it in Fluvanna County and I did not pay it, and then I had to pay back taxes and fees. I mean, granted, it's
It's
like
weird.
$25, but then they like doubled it if I didn't pay it or something.
A trash tax on the business?
On the
Did
business.
you live in town or did you live in the country?
I lived in the county of Fluvanna.
That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, but as you're building your business and thinking about products, and this is where, again, what I teach in CIC, like you've got to look at the big picture in your business as well and make sure your house is in order. As you grow, we're all about growth. So we're gonna talk a little, I'm gonna just, I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
right, like before you do anything, right,
Get the house in order.
right.
Yeah. And I realize it's 12 o'clock, so I'm gonna talk faster so we can take questions at the end. Knowing your costs, you need to take everything into account. So ingredients, packaging, your time, your overhead, just do it in a spreadsheet. It's painful, but if you do it once, and I would say, and this is what most people don't do, you don't charge for your time. Do that now, even if it's just you, because even if it's $10 an hour, because if you then do hire someone and all of a sudden you're paying someone, you're like, wait a minute, now my margins are off because I didn't, consider paying someone else. So I would do that math and say, even if it's like, okay, it costs me, or it takes me 2 hours, I'll use your example. It takes me 2 hours to make cupcakes, frost them, put them in packaging, out the door. And in that time you made, I don't know, you made 100 cupcakes. So that's 2 hours, even if it's $20 divided by 100 cupcakes, factor that into your cost of goods sold, right? So you would have paid somebody else. And these days, it would cost you more than $10 an hour, but do that math and put that in there. Maybe not your overhead, but again, you could put in a little bit of that. Definitely your packaging, and that's literally like, okay, I took these 100 cupcakes, I put them in 8 different boxes. How much is the box? How much is the label? How much are the little stickers that you put in? It all adds up. And then what you ultimately want is your cost of goods sold. And which includes your labor and add on your labor, your overhead, and your profit margin that you're shooting for. And this is different ways of setting your price, but I use it with clients. It's called calculator soup. And if you Google, and I'll just show you real quick. Let's do this example. The food business, when you go into wholesale, is all about margins. Some people say markup, but that's not really the verbiage. I'm going to sit for this. So, oh, hang on. And I'll do some examples and you can jot down these numbers just to like think about your pricing. So your cost and your revenue, and this is calculating your margin. So in my world, the cost of one bag of granola in the bag was about $2.75, maybe $2.50, but with everything in, it was probably $2.75. I was selling the granola to a person at a farmer's market for $7.99. So my margin there was 65%, which is great. I think you should shoot for 60. If you can get 60 from day one, you're doing great because it's going to get worse as you go along. But also keep in mind, like my 275, that 275 is going to get better as you get bigger because you're going to sell more. You're going to buy, instead of buying 10 or 5 pounds of oats, you're going to buy 50-pound bags of oats. And the price is like nothing. It's like $20 for 50 pounds of oats. So your costs will go down as you grow. And when you first do this math, you're like, oh my God, my margin is nowhere near 60%. But know that your costs should get better as you grow. But anyway, so that 275, I was selling for $7.99, 65% is great. Then I started selling to stores, and my wholesale price was $5.50. And now my margin is 50%. Again, great. Stores typically want, depending on the store, you want to give them 30 to 40% margin. So let me do that example for you. So the store is going to do the same math, and they're going to say, I'm buying that from Hope for $5.50, and I'm going to sell it for $7.99, and their margin is 31%. So that's the general math. The store is going to want about 30%. A distributor, so then go back to me. So I'm making that granola. It's $2.75 in a bag. My price to Rainforest, again, I was selling it to the store directly for $5.50. Those same Whole Foods, but now I'm selling it for $4.25 because that's to a distributor. The distributor margin, I think that's a little bit high. Maybe I was selling it for $4.50. I was going to say the distributor margin is probably 30%. Oh, is that going the wrong way? My costs. No, $4.25 is right. It's lower. 38. Yeah, that margin's pretty good. So I think distributors getting 30, in this case 35%. Oh, sorry, that's what I'm getting. It's 30 to 35%. But just to go show, as you scale up and you start selling different areas, your margin's going to go down. But for you right now, if you can just do this math when you go home, go to this calculator, figure out roughly what your cost is, and put in what you're selling it to either a store or selling it to the consumer at, and ideally 60% or greater is great. If it's 40, I wouldn't panic. If it's 50, I wouldn't panic. But you might think about raising your prices if you feel like you could. So that is margins. Any questions with that?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Because I hate numbers.
Yep.
But like, I need them.
Correct.
So
You are not alone.
I spent lots of time initially figuring out, all my ingredients and everything, did it all by hand.
Yep.
Well, this year I became tech savvy.
Uh-huh.
I made a master ingredient list of
Perfect.
all the products I use.
Yes.
and I put that into Chat GPT.
Yes,
I took a picture of my recipe
perfect.
and I said, this recipe makes 6 loaves,
Yep,
12 slices. I sell them for this and this, the slices and the
yep,
holes.
love it.
This is my packaging and blah, blah, blah. And it just spit it all out for
Yep.
me.
Yep.
And then I feel bad because, choosing all this water and all this data and
Don't
all
feel
this stuff. But, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But knowing that is great. I was
I
going to
give
say,
you percentages and everything.
yeah, and that's the difference between, I mean, that's obviously using AI, which is great. I was about to say, if you use something like Airtable or Notion, which is a database instead of a spreadsheet,
Okay.
if you can, exactly what you say, I buy 1 jug of milk, it's a gallon and it costs whatever gallon makes costs now, $5. Butter, eggs, flour, blah, 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 and you keep that one list once.
Yeah.
And then on the same database, you're gonna have all your different recipes. So I only had 5 flavors of granola. But I had a tab for each one. And so I could just change the price of the oats in the master list and it would feed it out to the others. So you don't have to calculate it every time you had a pricing change. I think also knowing your pricing of your ingredients is helpful. When I used to get calls all the times or emails like, hey, Hudson Henry, I sell almonds and our almonds are, whatever price. And I'm like, I don't know what I pay for almonds. I don't know if that's a good price or a bad price. So if you can just keep one list, is that what you guys?
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
get that all the time for sure.
Yeah. So keep one list of all your ingredients. You don't have to check it every month, but like at least once a quarter, like pull out your invoices, like, okay, what am I paying now for oats or what am I paying now for whatever it is? And see if your margins have changed. Like for us, our walnut granola, which was crazy because we had a pistachio one, a cashew one, walnut, pecan and chocolate. But the walnut was most expensive because it had so much vanilla in there. And this was like 15 years ago when like the prices of vanilla, I don't think they've come down completely, but they were insane. And so because of all the vanilla, the price was just crazy. So with common pricing mistakes, I won't go through all of this, but like, don't be nice. Like you, again, find the margin that you need and know that someone out there will buy your product. The price for the customers you want, you've got to pay yourself. You've got to look at your packaging costs and then, don't price by feel, use math. So different sales channels, and this is probably what's most interesting, is the different ways that you can sell your product. As I said, and just go over my journey. So I started with a farmer's market. The key thing when you probably do this, make sure you have a way to gather names and emails. So even if it's a clipboard on your table, try to gather names, because when I first started, and then I did my website. So I didn't use Shopify at first, but now either Shopify or what's the one that's tied to the platform that you can pay? Not Stripe. Square. Like, and so that would have like, or a Squarespace website or what have you. All of them have, I mean, I think Shopify is fantastic. It has everything baked into it. But then I would start getting like orders from like Nebraska. And I'm like, how did someone in Nebraska find my granola? And then they're like, oh, I came to the city market for my daughter's UVA parents weekend or whatever, found your granola, bought it, loved it, and now they found us online. But if I had kept a list, when I launched my website, I could have emailed everyone like, hey, you found my granola at the city market, now I'm selling online. So start a list and let people sign up for it. Then you can start selling online. Doing events. I did like the Monticello festival. There's all sorts of events. Orange has something, Culpeper has different events or what have you. It's great and then again, it's mostly one time unless you capture the information. I do say it's great for testing new products because you're baking or you're making stuff and you're like, I can't eat all this or give it away to neighbors or whatever. Like, make things and sell it for the city market or for the market and see how it goes. Like use that as a testing or set out samples or what have you and get feedback on products. I will say that as we grew, I know that I did the city market for at least 2 years and my husband did it for another year, if not 2 years. But that was the first thing that we got rid of. I'm like, if I cannot get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday in March, I'm going to get rid of that. So if you are getting enough revenue from online or from stores, you can maybe stop the markets if that's not something that you're crazy about. For me, like we had 2 small boys. I'm like, it's just another day away from them. Like I don't want to spend all day at a market. And then word of mouth referrals, especially in our community, you know, you're not having the best luck with buying local. I do think that this is a great area for supporting food businesses and getting that word of mouth and referral. So those are some different ways to go. And then I don't know why I didn't do that, but also distribution, which I think is the side. Yeah, there we go. So one way at the market is telling your story. I think it's hard. In CIC, we talk about whatever talks about your unique selling proposition. After 10 years of granola, all I could say about my granola was it's light and crisp. Was like my best description because it was like great clusters. Let me show you the website is not as lovely as it used to be with the new owners, but it's not terrible. And I think it still says light and crisp, although they might have changed it. But find out what differentiate. Oh, why are we not happening here? What makes your product? Oh, because I'm using the coffee quick. What makes your product unique? And is this the homepage? No. Is this the home? This is the homepage? No. Okay, there we go. Okay, mine was not crazy like that, but I did do this packaging. That was my original packaging. And when the owners bought it, they changed over to this, and now they're going back to the classic look. But or jam, if you're selling jam, like what's special about your strawberry jam versus Susie's strawberry jam right beside you? And a lot of times that could be your story. I think that and I did the same, like I gave money to charity. And I don't think you need to do that. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I give 10% to charity. I think that's 10% less that you're making right now. Like that can come later down the road. And I don't know that that's a unique selling proposition that's going to help you. But let's see if oh no, they did finally get rid of, before for ages, it was like, oh, delicious granola. But it was, light and crisp. And then your packaging. So if you want a $12 bag or jar of jam, it needs to look like a $12 jar of jam, right? So nice labels, nice branding. Again, look at Canva, look at other packaging on the shelf. I personally spent money on my logo when I first started. And then, as I said, I found someone, thank goodness, that had in-house design, but otherwise you might have to pay for, a bit of design work. Capture your customers, so email list from day one, and then just be consistent. So, and that improves, especially when you're starting to sell to stores, it improves with time. You get used to producing at that level or delivering at that level. I always say it's one thing to make 100 cookies, it's another thing to make 1,000 cookies and deliver them in perfect condition and on time. So getting that muscle of consistency will come as you grow. So as you grow, like what's next? So again, we talked about getting licensed. We talked about using a commercial kitchen or finding a space or doing it in your home. Selling wholesale, you're going to, and I use the word pitch, so you're going to pitch them. Fair, I love. It is a marketplace of buyers and buyers from stores and makers. It's been around probably over 10 years now. They don't necessarily take you straight away, like, so now they probably have a ton of granola on there. If another granola company came along, there might be a little bit of a wait. But I would definitely look at also Mabel. And then there's Fair Mabel, maybe just those two. And then you would, and it's local specialty stores all around the US are on there. You are still shipping directly to the store. There's no middleman. You don't ship it to Fair. Fantastic way to start your wholesale journey. And then otherwise you go online. So Etsy, you can sell food, your own website. We already talked about Amazon. I finally did Amazon 4 or 5 years in. It wasn't a huge seller for me. I personally made more on my own website than I did on Amazon. Yes.
Did that just change with the college food laws that you can sell on Etsy?
I have to look that up. I'm not 100% sure. Do you know?
So it's a little confusing.
Okay.
From how I understand, you can advertise.
Oh, right. You couldn't ship it to
cannot-
them.
Sell, you have to still make an in-person direct.
Correct.
Because I'm struggling with that because I use Square at the market.
Yeah.
And I've created all of my ingredients and I've set up a Square store online.
Yeah.
But you can view my products, you can view the ingredients, the information and everything, but on each product I put, you must message me directly.
Yeah.
And I put a link to my phone number to order because cottage food law does not allow for online ordering. Man,
When you Google this, when we get to VDEX, this is the document that you're gonna find. It's the 6-pager on the cottage food law that tells you exactly how it works. So you cannot sell on the internet, but you can, as you were saying, you can advertise.
No shipping.
yeah, no shipping. And nothing out of state.
But you could do your own online on your own website. So no, with the cottage ball, I don't think you could even list it on Etsy because they're not gonna come pick it up from Etsy. But anyway, so this is the document that you will find. Okay, let me just click through.
Actually, go with that name Hudson Henry.
Those are my 2 boys.
Oh my goodness.
At first it was gonna be Henry Hudson, and then the label designer woman, she was like, everyone will think that you're from New York. And there's no trademark on his name, but it would be confusing. So then I did Hudson Henry. And then I was talking about trademark. So it was Good News Granola, as you saw on the Today Show, for probably 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, you know what? I finally need to get my act together. I need to apply for a trademark. And when I first started, I went to the trademark website and did the search. But I searched for Good News Granola and nothing came up. So I'm like, great, I'm good to go. Applied for the trademark. Within minutes, the attorney came back and was like, you can't use that name. I'm like, why not? And there was a Good News candy bar from like the 1950s that was still sold in those candy of the decade boxes or whatever. And because it's in the same class, so there could be a Good News t-shirt shop and a Good News granola, that would have been fine. But obviously food and food, there'd be likely to cause confusion is like the legal way of saying it. So I had to change my name after 3 years. But luckily, because I was always Hudson Henry Baking Company was the company name. And then Good News Granola was the product name, kind of like Procter and Gamble and Tide, right? And so anyway, at that point, people are always saying, "Oh, have you tried that Hudson Henry granola or that granola from Hudson Henry?" So Good News Granola wasn't that baked into anyone's memory, and so I literally changed it, within weeks. Here are some resources for you. We talked about Venture Central, myself, SBDC, SCORE. I don't know a lot about SCORE, but they're out there and you could reach out to them. We talked about the local kitchens, VDAX, and then the Virginia Expo, I think it's every 2 years. They were trying to do it annually. So VDEX has their own food show. So if you do want to do wholesale and you do want to sell to stores, that's a great first step. You know, or make it a goal for yourself. Okay, I'm gonna, in 2 years, I'm gonna have a booth at the Virginia Expo. And, or even to go and walk the floor is how they call it. And do you guys, did you ever go to one?
We did one, then we did the one up at, in Charlottesville.
Okay.
Exactly, sure, at the John Paul Arena.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one we, I had only worked one show up there.
Okay. I mean, it's great. Like you can see, like, I mean, you can.
Yeah, it's incredible. You go hungry for sure because
yeah.
you're giving out samples of food everywhere, taking everything. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's so to find either ingredient suppliers or just to make connections in the business or get inspiration from packaging or flavors or what have you. And then the big show is the Fancy Food Show in New York, which is like, it's really too big. It's like the biggest, it's at the Javits Center. I literally walked the floor one day for like 8 hours and I was like crippled trying to walk back to my hotel in New York. I used to live in New York, but oh my gosh. And I probably saw like half the booths, if that. So that's just some things that you can do. We talked about action plans and some things that work on. So think about your cottage law versus VDEX, your insurance, work on your pricing, think about a new sales channel that you might want to try, and then start, if I could, like number 5. And also I changed like CRMs is a, you know, customer relation management tool. Like there's so many, and like MailChimp versus, so email then CRMs. I tried so many different ones over the years just to like avoid working on other things. Like find one that you want and stick to it. They say, what's the best software to pick? The software that you'll actually use. So whatever works for you. And that's it. So that's questions on every bag. And I don't know. I need to look if it's still, hang on, do we still have Hudson Henry up? There, yeah, it's still there. So on every bag of granola at the top, and this was there from day one. So do your best, be kind, dream big is my like motto in life. Like just do the best you can. And sometimes you're gonna have a bad year or you're gonna have a bad week or a bad month or what have you.